Welcome to Cold Hard Trash, CRT episode 43. I'm your host, Breeg.
And I'm Breeg. Just wanted to do that bit for the intro.
And I'm Breeg.
Your fellow host.
There
Oh, fuck, I even fucked up the bit. Damn it.
Putting me on the spot. I'll put you on the spot.
You threw it right back at me. Fair play. Touche, sir. Touche. So I had a revelation. I was laughing about the word diarrhea for about 20 minutes the other day. And I came to realize that that word is just too silly for what it's describing. There needs to be like an actual serious, like, accepted term. I'm sure there's probably a medical term for it that is a little bit more serious. Maybe there isn't. If there isn't, there needs to be.
I think it's diarrhea, and
it's just too funny. I can't imagine, like, doctors shouldn't have to say that. Doctors are probably putting the giggling fits all across the land for no reason, just because diarrhea is such a goddamn funny word. It doesn't need to be that funny.
Oh, this is one of those words I can almost never spell.
Oh, it's diarrhea. That's how I always remember to spell it.
Yes, it's a medical term. I wonder.
That's crazy.
Like,
doctors have to say that. That's like, how do you not just giggle your whole entire time?
Diarrhea meaning.
What do you mean meaning? You know what it means?
No, I mean, like, how does a word come about?
Googling.
How does a word come about?
Welcome to the Cold Hard Trash Podcast. Googling diarrhea meaning.
Name origin. Oh, from the Greek word diarrhea. Meaning to flow through.
The Greeks were laughing about this. The Greeks had a great word about it. Oh, that's awesome.
But, yeah, it just means to flow through, so.
They're probably making like, oh, my bowel movements are like diarrhea. They were probably saying, but in Greek, whatever that was.
Well, it was two parts. It's dia is, like, through, and then, like, rhea is
so we made the word ourselves. We took it from Greek, like Greek parts of it. It wasn't just a whole Greek word.
The Greek word was diarrhea. Two parts, dia and rhea.
Okay, so it was used in, like...
Yep, 100%. Well, they spelled it with an O, but...
Wait, diarrhea?
There's like an O
I got the diarrhea.
Yeah. There's like an O in between, like, the last couple vowels, but...
Huh. So it's like a diarrhea. You really put the error in the end of it.
I had to look it up because, like, I thought, like... That is the medical term. It's just one of those things where, like, once we get so used to a word, it sort of just, I don't know, maybe becomes a little bit less serious. I mean, there's that whole thing with, like, different words to, like, call someone stupid.
Oh, yeah, like imbecile, moron, like the ones that were actually medical terms for a little bit.
Yep. Retard is actually a medical term. Like, retardation, that was, like, a medical term. I don't know if it's still used.
I don't think
so. But, like, it keeps on... That goalpost just kind of keeps on moving, it feels.
Right.
I don't know. Like, that word has been around
it's
for a while.
I think they just use, like, developmentally disabled and things like that, and slowed. They use that terminology.
Yeah, well, honestly, people do use that as an insult, too. But I feel like it's a little bit better because it's not a new word. Right?
I guess, yeah.
Like, it's just, it doesn't have oomph behind it, so you can't...
right,
really
but it's one of the it's got so many other
something.
Applications too. So like you hear it in so many ways, whereas like retard is just very, very particular one thing.
Yeah, they had different terms for it and stuff in the past. One of my favorites, as lame as it sounds, is lame.
Oh,
it means your legs don't work.
I was gonna say, yeah, lame, and dumb means you can't talk.
Didn't know the dumb one.
Yeah.
So, the whole, like, lame duck period for a presidency is the period of time after the election has happened or around the time of the election.
Where he just sits down and does nothing.
Yeah. Lame duck.
Like a lame
Doesn't
duck.
walk.
It's also a term for football pass where it just kind of flops in the air. If he doesn't get a good enough spiral on it, just falls down like a lame duck.
Well, I mean, a lame duck should be able to fly.
I guess lame for a duck in this also scenario would mean the wings don't work, potentially.
That's what we need a new medical term for.
The wings not working?
Yeah.
But why do we need a medical term for that? Humans don't have wings.
Birds use medicine. I mean, well, not by choice. We do it to them.
I guess it's because walking is our main way of transportation, so that's lame for us. Like, that'd be lame for a bird. They can't fly anymore. It's just like the same, 1-to-1. They do also walk, but I guess that's a different thing. It's not as important to them. Would a bird be able to just like survive without legs?
I mean, there's that one famous duck that like had missing feet, so they just put like action figure shoes on them.
Oh, if it works. But I mean, like, could ducks just, or not ducks, just birds in general, get around without flying? Because I feel like hummingbirds, especially, like, they got like the super control where they can just kind of, they don't really walk ever. You never see a hummingbird running around.
Yeah, I mean, they're like by the size that we're getting to, like they're kind of fly like insects.
Essentially, yeah.
With their like hovering in place type thing, and then go boop, boop, boop.
Do insects
boop.
even really need legs, especially when they get small? Maybe that'll be the next evolution thing. We're going to see flies without legs.
I guess it's not an insect. When I was a kid, my neighbor, also a kid, took all the legs off of Daddy Longlegs. It's pretty fucked up.
I was going to say, it probably died before it finished.
Well, it definitely needed them. Say that much.
Aren't spiders on like like a hydraulic system, like with their veins and everything? Like, isn't that how that works?
Well,
because when they die, they go like that.
Yeah, well,
all the pressure releases.
The entire leg moves by like a pressure thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that's like a straight shot to its.
But it's just like it's a leak in the system, you'd think.
Yeah, well, like when a bird loses a feather, like that pore closes up.
Oh, true. Yeah, I guess I never really thought about like insect skin and pores and whatnot. It's a spider, so it's probably got an exoskeleton and whatnot.
That's something that closes up when it were to lose a leg or whatever. I don't know. That like
you see,
definitely wasn't a good thing to do.
I was gonna say crabs rip their own arms off every now and again, so maybe spiders can do that same kind of thing. Just lose a leg and be like, whatever.
Also, the crab thing's pretty fucked up because people will like hunt crabs and then just take off the claws.
Oh, really?
And just toss them back.
Poor crabs.
They do the same shit to sharks.
Yeah, they take their fin off and just throw
soup.
them back. Sad. They can't even like swim after that.
Yeah, it's like the worst practice ever.
Yeah.
Like,
stupid.
It's like the complete opposite of the idea of like use every part of the bison.
Why not eat the shark too? Like that's what I don't get. Like we caught this shark and we got so much meat from it. Meh. You just throw the meat back in the ocean. Like other parts of the shark are probably edible. You could probably chop them up and eat them. Probably make some money off that. Maybe not the most money like shark fin soup, but shit.
And also, the only indication that I have that shark fins actually had meat on them was the fact they made the soup out of it, because I thought it would just be cartilage.
I think it is mostly cartilage. I think it's just the thing that, like, when you make the soup with it, you just get, like, a very unique flavor, and then it breaks down to be, like, very, like, chewy and almost, like, edible. Very not, like...
almost edible.
I've never had shark fin soup, but I've heard that the shark fin is, like, almost cartilage, but making the soup is what breaks it down to be, like, edible.
Yeah. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of cartilage. I mean, I'll use it in soups and stuff. You know, like I've used pig hooves to make a stock before.
I've used chicken bones, but never. I think that's it. I've never used hooves.
Yeah, apparently they're quite cartilaginous.
Cartilaginous?
Well, cartilage.
Full of cartilage.
Yeah. And the bones have what are the compounds called? So you got the bones, they have cartilage, and there's something in there that then turns into gelatin. But it's a different word in between there. I forget exactly what it is. But
I don't know
that's
either.
basically how you get like, those nice thick, rich stocks with like the mouthfeel and stuff like that.
Right.
It's gelatin.
Makes sense, because that's what like would make like a nice like thick coat.
So if you're making like an at-home like soup or something, like it's not crazy to just put gelatin in there.
Interesting.
Be very smart about the amount.
Very less is more type shit.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Gotcha. Good to know.
Unless you want aspic, but
make a nice solid soup, just jello. Have you ever had those? I feel like that's just like a bygone era of like actual food suspended in gelatin.
Aspic.
Is that what aspic is?
Yes, and I really want to try it.
Wow.
I want to try it by someone who was like making it and like ate it normally.
Why? It's like actual just beef fat or whatever gelatin. It's just gonna taste like beef.
But
I think I don't even know. Ugh.
But it got peas and carrots in it. I think.
And gelatin.
It was such a staple of food in American history
Probably because
I want to engage with it. I want to see, like, you know, why did people make this? Because they could have made something else. They could have just not put it in the Jell-O.
do some research on refrigeration and this. Maybe this was like how they preserved food before they had refrigerators, or do you need to refrigerate it afterwards?
Refrigerator was a thing we were gonna Google.
Oh, was it the thing? Damn it!
Yeah.
You were gonna look something up before this. Well, shit. Well, when was Aspic like? When is this period in American history?
Like the 50s, I think.
And refrigerators were invented in way before that. So, all right, no, Aspic could have been. It wasn't just for preserving food. There was actually like a want to do it. Maybe it was just like an aesthetic thing because you can make Jell-O molds and make it look like pristine or whatever.
Yeah, you get the classic Jell-O mold with the bunk cake
right
mold, and you put Jell-O in it, and it's got the ridges to it.
Right. And you make that all clear and suspend the food in it. I
want to try it. I want to see what all the hubbub's about.
Are you supposed to eat the gelatin? I guess I really wouldn't be too mad at it if I'm supposed to dig through the gelatin, if it's like the method of transportation to me.
What's the purpose?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know.
I think you eat it.
That's fucking weird. I don't want it. I don't want the gelatin.
I don't have the highest hopes, but there's a little part of me that's just like, I could be proven so wrong about this because it just looks gross.
It looks so bad. It's one of the things like you see in cartoons of like they try to just make like the grossest looking food. Mm-hmm. Like it's like when it's one of the things like I just kept saying. I think it's a bygone era because it's only something I've seen in like cartoons and movies. It's something I've never actually seen in real life because no one would dare try that shit. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's such a bad idea. Oh my god.
It definitely is like a thing that like you need refrigeration to set the Jell-O in the first place.
Yeah, right? I guess that makes sense. Gelatin probably wasn't even like a super big thing before refrigeration.
I ended up seeing an Adam Ragusa video. It was just like a YouTube like cook guy. He goes really into like the science of a lot of different things, of like why certain things are done a certain way. You know, maybe there's a historical thing about it, and then he'll also be like, oh yeah, when I make cheese sauce, I literally just have like chemical citric acid that I add into it to like make a homogeneous mixture of the cheese and the everything.
I guess it would like thicken it up. Weird, but
it doesn't thick. What it does is I forget the term right now.
Emulsify.
Yeah, it's an emulsifier for the cheese and whatever liquid you're melting the cheese into to make a cheese sauce.
Neat. Okay.
But he had a video of like his mother-in-law or someone's like recipe with it was spinach and lemon Jell-O. I knew that much. And he was like, yes, it sounds really, really weird, but at the end of the day, it's sort of like a refreshing, cool thing to have in the South on a hot day.
Lemon Jell-O and spinach. Whenever I think of spinach, I think of like buttery and salty. I don't really want. I got lemon Jell-O. I guess it wouldn't be like creamy, so I guess that could work. Just be like lemons on top of it. I wouldn't mind a little lemon on top of the spinach, but like lemon Jell-O. And is the spinach in the Jell-O?
Yes.
Oh, and the spinach is gonna be all limp. I guess if you're
it's
trying
suspended
to
in
yeah.
Jell-O. I'm interested.
I might be willing to try that.
Thing, you know.
I might be willing to try that. I mean, if they're trying to do like little Jell-O spinach squares, I'll try one of them. Just pop it in my mouth real quick.
Tune in for the Aspic episode.
We're not making fucking Aspic. I refuse.
No, I'll make it a double feature. It'll be fine.
Fuck that.
I'm actually gonna start looking up recipes now.
For Aspic, it's just gelatin and food. It's any food recipe then plus gelatin.
Yeah, but they gotta like make it like palatable, right? They ate it. There's gotta be something, but there's gotta be something more behind it.
Fuck you. You let me know what you turn up on that. Let me know how eating like beef gelatin goes for you. You're just gonna be very sad and disappointed. I feel because you're just gonna learn that peasants ate peasant food because there was nothing better.
Peasants? We have refrigeration at this point.
Yeah,
this is capitalism, baby.
It's the very early stages of capitalism, so it's probably like, well, you said 1930s, right? This is right before Depression.
No, this is post-Depression. I'm pretty sure. This is everyone is like in love with canned foods.
Oh, So maybe it was just like people coming out of the Depression. Still being like scarcity type of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Aspic doesn't feel like a scarcity thing. And maybe like some regions it could have been, but like it feels like a wealth thing.
Really? Oh, that's the opposite of what I was thinking. You think like
you have Aspic in your nice single family home, in your white picket fence neighborhood, with your wife at home.
Huh. I didn't even think about that. So it's like, it's supposed to be like a fancy thing. I thought it was like literally like street food, like made by. Damn. Okay, that changes a bit.
I'm gonna find out so much more about Aspic, and you are gonna try it.
Yeah, I guess I will. I'll try, especially if you make the lemon spinach one. I'll try it. So, I mean,
I do think it's funny that that's the one that you're more okay with than like roast beef.
Because it's like spinach, you put a little lemon on that when you're roasting it up with salt and everything else. So, I mean, like I guess, and lemon Jello. Normally, I think of like a lemon like cream Jello, like they have a little cream layer at the bottom. That's where mostly I've seen it. But if it's just lemon, then I mean it'd just be more lemon flavor. It'd be a weird. The texture is what's killing me. The texture of the Jello with the spinach is gonna be like. Bleh.
I think that's gonna be the worst part.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing that repulses our modern sensibilities.
It's going to be like a fight in your mouth. Fucking Jello versus food. You're just going to be like, ah. It's going to be a chewing like battle.
Well, I've also had like a bite of, I don't know, you make like a roast beef or something in like, you know, covered in beef stock or something. If you make your own homemade beef stock, that's going to be pretty Jello-y when you have it in the fridge. Like you were saying last episode about just eating lunch meat straight out of the bag.
I mean, yeah.
Which, to circle back to that, typically that is something done after midnight when you really need a snack, in my opinion.
I'm just doing that throughout the day now because I need to eat throughout the day, and what else am I going to eat?
Well, classic Gremlins thing, it's always after midnight.
That's to turn you into a gremlin. I'm staying a Mogwai. Isn't that how that works?
Fair enough.
I think, yeah.
But the roast beef is like in Jello already, basically. Like if you go and you like really want just a little nibble of, you know, flavor, and you take out like a bit of roast beef, and it has Jello goop on it, you eat it, and you're like, this is good roast beef.
I
you kind of get past the Jello, it dissolves.
I mean, you're still chewing it. Jello is like, it's literally gelatinous to be like formed. You're gonna chew a big old like square of Jello and then also chew some beef. I don't know. It's gonna be strange. I can't even imagine it because they're two so very different things.
I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Tune into the Aspic episode.
Oh God.
CRT43.
We'll do one episode of just like a thing of Aspic right here in front of us and not talk about it, and the second episode is when we'll eat it. It'll just be a whole like tease of like, oh well.
Make it a live stream. We must finish this entire bunt of Aspic.
That would kill us. It would kill me at least. I don't think I'd be able to, I don't think. Though that usually comes up easy though. Gelatin usually comes back up easy. So I don't think I'd have a problem like just chowing and purging that. Don't want that to sit.
Well, then you're experiencing it twice.
Yeah, but at least I'll feel better at the end of the second one. If I experience it
like
once.
Moral thing?
No, like bodily thing. I'll feel way worse at the end of the first one than I will at the end of the second one.
Fair enough. We'll have fiber supplements.
Oh, shit. So, I have not written in cursive for, I don't know, like a decade plus now. Why the fuck did we learn cursive?
Because you need to be able to write things by hand.
Yeah, I can write things by hand. I've always been able to. I mean, like, as I learned writing, but like, why do I need cursive? Why were they just like, hey, you know that thing you learned? Learn it again. Just do that. Do the letters again, but more. Now the M has an extra hump on it. Like, what? Why? What?
It's to be quick, you know.
M has an extra hump. Fuck you. It's quick. It's literally longer.
You don't even pick up the pencil. You're saving time.
You have to remember how the letters go. The amount of times I get stuck because I don't remember how capital G goes in fucking cursive. It's a goddamn moon rune.
Well, like how many? I think cursive is best used for notes written to yourself. Like you just want to scribble down something as quickly as possible, like while talking. taking notes in a meeting or something, it's your own note. So all you got to do is write it in a way that you can read it. You can drop that extra hump on the M if you want. Who cares? You're the only one reading it.
I suppose, yeah, but that's not the way cursive is taught. Cursive is taught like you get the outlines of everything and do it the right way and learn it, that shit. Or at least that's the way it was taught to me.
Yeah, well, nothing's like... That's how you teach things to kids.
It wasn't taught like, oh, this is supposed to be your own style. It's not like, this is the new way of writing. Like, this is how adults write. This is how the way you're going to write forever now. And I was like, why? This is
now
dumb.
We barely even write.
That's true. We barely even write, period. But when I do write, it's the legible writing that everybody can read, so I make sure that everybody can read it, including me, because I can't read my own goddamn chicken scratch. Shit.
Nah, I'm a fan of cursive. I get why they don't do it anymore. I kind of
cursive can go to hell.
Wish they would.
Go away.
We had a book where we would it would be like a challenge, like how many times can you write your name in cursive, and you know, I was always jealous of like Corey or Cody or Kyle or something like that. You only got 4 letters, and you're, like, kicking my ass at this because we checking on it like every week. And then there's this one girl, Farheen, and she was way the fuck ahead from everybody. She was just really good at it, even though she had a longer name. I think same number of letters as me.
Just get that nice loose wrist with it. You can just flow it.
Yeah, but she also had the double E. You know, that's pretty easy.
It's a little loopy loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I knew cursive was some bullshit because my dad's signature is literally like the number 4, 2 L's, and then another number 4. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be like JMJ.
Well, also, a signature I feel isn't supposed to be just straight cursive. You are supposed to add your own flourish to it. What it is supposed to be something that you are damn near perfect at replicating.
But no one else can, type shit.
Yeah, and no one else can do it like you can because you have the one thing. Like, you got wiring in there just to do that.
I gotta start fucking with my signature, make it all cool and stuff.
Yeah, I do like a big swoop around the whole thing at the end.
I leave out the E all the time. I accidentally forget it when I'm writing the last name because N just flows into S so quick, and I'm just like, man, fuck it. Like you're saying, it's my signature. Like, what is somebody be like, oh, sir? Yeah, you misspelled that? Need to see your ID? Double check?
It was like some old Tumblr story of like someone signing for a lease by just drawing 3 little cat faces. And because they did that, there was a record of that with the bank. And later, when they had to do a signature for like their license or something, it was required that it match existing records of their signature. So
they had to get the fucking cats.
Just 3 little cat faces.
It's on your license, though. That's sweet.
Yeah, it's your signature.
Oh, man. I gotta
well, now you got ideas.
Right? Now I can actually make it something cool.
Mm-hmm. Damn. There's the Obama signature that everyone says looks like a penis.
Classic.
There's the big O and then the squiggle coming off of it.
Richard Nixon's is the classic, just turned into one big 4. Because he's just like, no more even squiggling, just line.
I don't know. I'm a cursive defender.
I'm a cursive denier.
If you're writing stuff down, you need to do it quick. You need to write yourself a note, whatever.
Learn to write fast.
Learn to read your own handwriting, and you're good.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Learn to read your own handwriting, and then learn a new style of writing, then learn to read that, and then cursive is good. Mm-hmm. It's the whole just second thing. Like, all right, now you've learned this whole thing. Now it's not. I know it's not another language, but it basically just feels like a second ancillary language.
It's a new script.
Why? It's just like, why? It doesn't make sense. Why do I need to know fonts? Well, why are you teaching me cursive? Why are you teaching me this bullshit one? Why can't I learn Helvetica? Or why can't you teach me Jokerman? Why do I got to learn cursive?
Also, like the line between like regular written letter and cursive is actually pretty clear in my opinion. Like, it is just, if you start writing really, really, really fast, it starts looking more and more like cursive. And so they're like, okay, well, this is kind of what they're doing, so we're going to solidify it in a thing so that we can try and make it consistent across everyone, so it's a bit more legible for everyone.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially for, like, S's and things like that. That makes sense of just, like, the quick little toot-toot-toot-toot.
And I can read my own handwriting, even though not everyone can.
I can't. If I write in cursive, I can't read for shit.
This isn't even cursive. This is just when I write down numbers and stuff, I do write pretty quick, and the number 5 ends up looking like an 8 a lot because I start with a downstroke and then the curve, and then I hop up to do that. Mm-hmm. But I do like, and it ends up looking almost like an 8, and I have to explain. But every single time I look at that, I know exactly what it is. I never confuse the two.
My 1s look like 7s a lot if I'm writing too fast, so I got to make sure to draw the little like stand underneath it. I could either go full tent, because some people do their 1s of just like a straight triangle, but I don't like that. I hate the look of that.
Well, that's kind of why, you know how 7s will have the dash in them sometimes? That's the purpose of that. To differentiate it from a 1.
I could differentiate my 7s instead of the 1. Interesting.
And how 4, it can be the, like, you know, the sort of cup on top, or it can be the triangle on top. That triangle on top, it always has the part sticking out when you do that, because otherwise it looks just like a 9.
How does it look just like a 9? Oh, well, I guess, yeah. If you make the tent, but...
That's going to go great.
Yeah, for this audio podcast, just pantomiming some numbers. I'm a cup guy, though. I don't do the tent. I like the little square top for my 4s.
Yeah, I do like you thing. But even then, like, if you're drawing quickly and the top of it bends in a little bit, that now becomes...
it can be.
A little bit up in the air.
Can be. Damn. And speaking of numbers and science stuff, you said you were looking up things about blood types?
So, I feel like there's, like, tropes in medical shows, right? So
I have not seen any medical shows, but continue.
Most medical shows, at some point, you're going to have the auto brewery episode.
Auto brewery?
Auto brewery syndrome, real thing, really rare, is a condition you can have when you have alcohol-producing yeast in your stomach or in your digestive system.
Damn.
So
you're brewing your own beer.
Yeah. There's another like Reddit story or something or a 4chan thing where it's like, I hate my fucking roommate. Like, he does all this stuff. He gave himself auto brewery syndrome and now he just shits everywhere.
What the fuck?
He's always drunk. But yeah, it's if you have like alcohol producing yeast in your digestive system and you consume carbs, that will get turned into alcohol in your blood.
That's wild. So you can just get drunk off bread.
Yes. And
nice.
It sounds like dope for like a couple seconds.
No, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
That sounds like the worst thing in the world.
Well, it's cheaper, but...
it sounds like it'd be poison, though. It sounds like you couldn't eat like most anything. If you had any carbohydrates, they wouldn't be absorbed correctly into your system, so you're not getting them turned into energy.
Yeah, well, this random roommate of some guy on the internet thought it was dope and gave it to himself. But yeah, you like basically never sober again, and not even from like choice, unless you like go out of your way to avoid carbs and stuff, or do some type of like cleanse. I don't know exactly how you'd reverse it.
So you yet to mention any like
medicine.
You yet to mention any like side effects or negative to this. Do you like
you're drunk all the time?
Right, but do like your intestines rot or like anything like that? Do you just like is there any bodily like symptoms other than you like blood's gonna be super thin all the time or something?
Just the side effects of being drunk. I don't think there's anything past that. But you have the episodes on the shows where it's like this guy he drove drunk and he like hit someone and like why should we save him or something like that.
It turns out he's auto brewers. He didn't even know he was drunk.
Yeah.
Oh.
There was one episode of a show where it was like a girl put in like a alcohol soaked tampon for a trip, like a road trip with her parents that she hates or something like that.
Oh, sure.
And everyone was thinking that it was going to be auto brewery because it's like they got to do the episode about auto brewery, and then nope. It was a different thing of being drunk without consuming alcohol in the traditional sense, I guess. They got a lot of episodes like that. They also have episodes where they get a patient with an extremely rare blood type.
Extremely rare blood type. Aren't there only like 4 or 5?
So, basically how blood types work is that there are 3 major antigens that can appear on a red blood cell.
Okay.
You got A, B, and the Rh factor. So...
It's the A blood, B blood, the O blood, and then there's also like the AB blood, right?
O blood is the absence of A and B.
Ah, okay.
Rh factor is the plus and minus.
Okay, gotcha.
But those aren't the only antigens that are on a blood cell. And if you don't have those antigens, typically you have the antibody. Hence why you can't put like B blood into an A body someone whose blood type is A, because they have the antibodies for the B antigen that is on someone with B type blood, their blood cells.
So it would literally just project.
It just destroys it. It causes an inflammatory response. Bad.
Right.
But then there's really, really rare blood types which don't have the what exactly is it? It's that they're missing some other antigen that like 99.99% of blood already has. So like these are the three that we know, like, you know, there's really strong variance between them. You know, there's like AB negative, which is like super duper rare. It's like 0.5% of people. But that's a combination of the three major ones. And then there's like strange shit like Lutheran B or whatever, where it's like, oh, there's like this one other antigen that like everyone has, but this one like very small number of people don't have that, and then their blood is just completely incompatible with like everybody else.
Whoa, yes, that'd be tough to get like any kind of blood transfusion for them, because then they couldn't get just regular old blood.
Yeah, so it's like you gotta they have the storylines about having like ration out the right type of blood, or like how do we get some of that here? You know, what kind of magic can we work?
Yeah, is there some in the system that we can get like transferred here? Do we have to like buy it from another hospital type shit?
Yeah, because I'm sure like working in a hospital can be like a high stress situation, but when it comes to storytelling, you kind of need to think of like a medical thing, and then you need to dramatize it. And those are two pretty big ones, because the reveal of someone having auto brewery at the end of the episode is like such a like wow moment. Like, oh, it was this all along. And you know, the person who was drunk because they had auto brewery typically catches some flack for being drunk while like being a teacher or driving, something like that. And then it turns out that there was an undiagnosed condition.
Right. I remember my parents used to watch House all the time, and the only episode I remember from it that had like the twist ending was that I think it was this girl who had like very conservative parents who like wouldn't even take her to like a gynecologist or anything like that, and she was having just this blood loss they couldn't explain in all these different ways. And they'd like, oh, knew she hadn't started her, I think like hadn't started her period yet, so it couldn't have been that, and all these different things. And then eventually like comes like a moment where they have to like move her down the hallway and all this exciting thing, and then House is down checking her private area, and the parents find him while he's doing that, and they're like, oh, what the fuck? And he pulls out like a tick from inside of her.
I've seen that, yeah.
And he's just like, this is what's been doing that shit.
I'm surprised you said, though, that, like, you know, my parents watched House, and there's, like, one twist ending when...
It's the whole thing. I was saying that's the only one I remember.
The big one, but, like, yeah, that is kind of the whole thing. It's House is a Sherlock Holmes type story. He's
basically just like, oh, actually, you have this disease, idiot. And then he just walks away with his cane.
Mm-hmm. Lots of drama. There's Grey's Anatomy, which Grey's Anatomy goes off the walls. There's, like, they have, like, had... I think multiple active shooter episodes.
Oh, wow.
At least one, I know. I think a plane crashed.
Into the hospital?
No, but they had all the doctors on it.
oh, damn. Oh, the doctors are in the plane crash. They have to do like medicine while the plane's crashing or after the plane crash? Does it turn into Lost?
I don't know. I didn't fully watch that episode. But
that'd be a sweet arc. If like Grey's Anatomy does like anime arcs, like this is the arc where they get lost on the island. and shit like that.
I swear to God, you should watch it, because they do have shit like that kind of go on.
Oh, really? I would love like an island arc, just in like a random like sitcom of a medical or medical drama, especially. Where they got to do like island doctor stuff, like remake the hospital and all the different things, and like they try to like restart their lives.
But yeah, medical shows, they find different ways to do drama, but I feel like there's a couple of things that they sort of end up running into, because the ideas behind the story and like what the reveal would be are pretty straightforward, if you know how that stuff would play out. But I do still just think like blood types is super neat, because you have the antigen and the antibodies, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have A, B, and RH factor, which is also called D. Sonosi, I guess. And I think you were talking about before we started recording, the whole thing in Japan where they like refer to blood types as sort of like a zodiac or a...
Right, it's like very important for like characters and athletes, like they listed for everything. It's like, it means a lot more than it does to us, I suppose.
Well, the first thing I found was like, yeah, a study was done and there was a 0.3% relationship between blood type and personality traits or something. It's like,
yeah.
well,
literally some zodiac shit.
Yeah. But if you believe it, it might, you might be convinced yourself and change your behavior because of it.
Yeah, no, it's for, especially for like athletes and things like that. It's just like another way to relate to them. Like if he has blood type, the same blood type as you, and you also play baseball, it's like, oh, cool, I could be just like him, you know?
Yeah. But something that I didn't really get from looking at that is that they have it like based off of A, B, and O, right? But I didn't see anything about them talking, like referring to the RH factor and how that affects your personality, when it's just as important as the other ones. You have A, B, and positive or negative, A, B, and D, and you either have it or you don't for each one of them, and that breaks down to the 8 different types, because that's 2 cubed.
Right.
But like, it's never mentioned. It's like equally as important for your blood, but it doesn't have a letter associated with it.
Really? So they don't put it on there? They don't put like A negative? They just put A?
They do, but like I was looking up charts and stuff, like what kind of personalities do you have with a different blood type?
Oh.
And they never acknowledge the positive or negative.
Huh.
Which...
some bullshit charts then.
Yeah, feels like a bit of a thing. I also am curious, because I didn't look too deep into it, how they treat AB. Like, is it that they're just each distinct categories and then you just go on to describe them? Or is each different antigen a different set of personality traits? So an AB person would have traits from both A and B.
Oh.
And O. Oh, it said like O was like more like self-centered and like less inhibitions and stuff like that. Maybe like A and B introduce inhibitions and
yeah, I don't know.
like that.
We should look that up. I wonder if there's like, especially in like Japanese culture, if there's like anything about that, because they have do it for, like I said, a lot of the athletes and a lot of the anime characters you see they list for their stat cards. So I wonder if they have like, we could probably find out like what anime characters do have AB blood type, and we'd be able to figure it out, like what personality traits they basically wrote for them.
Yeah, see, because they probably influenced the writing quite a bit.
Right. Or the writing influenced it quite a bit. You know, they're writing the character and like, oh, he's definitely an AB blood type. Yep, write him down type shit.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's also like astrology, where I don't think astrology really picked up at all until maybe the 90s at earliest. Like, it was obviously a thing.
Yeah, I mean, since like the pirates, they were like using the stars to...
That's astronomy.
Isn't it? Well, they were still using constellations and stuff. They knew of the constellations, like Leo and Cancer and whatnot.
Yeah, but pirates, like, use that to navigate.
Right. I mean, it's like the knowledge of constellations, I'm saying, was there. But you're like, it wasn't until the 90s that people actually used it to, like, zodiac signs?
Yeah, that's... Astrology is the idea that they definitely used it before, too. But, like, it wasn't as popular... It wasn't popular culture. It was counterculture. I feel.
Right, yeah. It was like the hippie stuff you would do.
Yeah, but now like everybody, like
it's in the Sunday Times. Your horoscopes.
Yeah. That's the big difference between astrology is the idea that the sign in the sky when you were born affects your personality.
Oh, okay.
And astronomy is just the study of the stars.
Okay.
And
I misunderstood. I thought you were saying like
stuff like that.
I thought you were saying that astronomy was like not really widely accepted until the 90s. I was like,
No,
well, I mean, they
Galileo,
the knowledge, I think.
bitch.
I thought it was just like people were like, it was the science stuff, and it wasn't until like the 90s that people were like, oh, wait a minute, this actually is for our brains too.
Yeah.
But that makes more sense.
But I think it does kind of go hand in hand. Like maybe like modern astronomers and scientists and stuff, you kind of have the like NASA idea in your head of people researching space to like potentially go there and stuff like that. But like navigating your world based off of the stars, that's a whole different ballpark. And just having astronomers like up in observatories, you know, off in the mountains or whatever, they're just whoever can like possibly get a lens to make a telescope big enough to like really study the stars. That has a lot of wonder around it.
Yeah.
It's so rare to be able to do that. I mean, it's kind of rare nowadays, but like it's just, do you have the money?
Basically, I would love
the money is the means to get a telescope.
An observatory would be so sweet to be able to go up to the top of one of those, like above the clouds, especially if you get to a really tall one. Oh, I would love to. I've heard they are amazing.
I at one point visited. This was in the Appalachian Mountains, a radio observatory. So they do have a bunch of radio telescopes, which is a lot less romantic. Because like big dishes and stuff like that, and they'll read in different frequencies than the visible light spectrum. But you do get to see into space, once you process that image and stuff like that. But it's not, some guy in a funny hat sitting and looking into a thing.
Into a telescope and then just zoop, swiveling around.
There's also a pretty old record of a Chinese astronomer actually watching a supernova happen.
Whoa. Really?
This is like BC.
I was going to say that Chinese history goes way, way back. That's wild. I mean, they'd probably be the only, I don't know if the only culture that would have recorded history around then, but the most recorded history. So it would make sense that if that would happen back then, they're the ones to capture it.
And it's verifiable with nowadays.
Shit, really? They figured out backwards that a supernova would have happened right around that time?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
So that's really neat.
He ain't lying.
Wonderful to be able to see in the night sky.
Supernova don't lie.
We just kind of get cool looks at the moon sometimes, and maybe some planets available.
Sometimes you can see stars if you go out to where the light pollution's not too bad. You got no clouds.
I do miss seeing stars as much living in the city. I didn't really care too much about it for quite a few years, and then you realize you just haven't been seeing it for a while. You're like, damn.
Yeah, there's a campground not too far out from here because there's all the forest reserves around. There's a little place that's actually pretty far removed from natural light. It's actually a neat little, you could just rent a campsite there for a 2-day camping trip.
Yeah.
Be a fun thing to do. I've wanted to for a while.
Well, CRT hits the campsite.
Oh, that'd be CRT from around the fire? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I learned a really funny thing that I guess for the diehard video games, Bruce Willis was such an expensive contract grab that they were like, whatever, we're just going to make John random guy. But even though they went with that decision, because they got the diehard license to make the game, Bruce Willis's lawyer specifically still came in to make sure that they didn't make John whatever too much like John McClane. So the people who were making the video game had this brilliant idea of just well, shit, we obviously want him to be more like John McClane. So every time the voice actor who came in playing him would deliver a line kind of more that was really like Bruce Willis, they'd be like, no, shit, I don't think that was the one. I don't think that was it, man. I think you got to do another one. The lawyer would be like, nah, that was fine. And every time he did it really shit when they'd be like, dude, that was just like Bruce Willis. Please let us use that. And the lawyer would be like, no way. No. We can't do that. Yeah, that's too much like Bruce Willis. and it worked for the entire recording session.
That's good. Pranking the lawyer.
In reverse psychology, to get the performance they wanted. They were just like, this is such a weird thing. I think I was watching a video about it. They said he specifically was salty because it was right around the time that they were able to make 3D models into video games, and he put so much work into making Bruce Willis's face. So when he found out they couldn't use it, he was just so pissed that was his basic little revenge. He's just like,
put the Bruce Willis model in public domain.
Well, I mean, especially nowadays, he's doing that the AI things, right? He might be public domain sooner than you think.
Bruce Willis he's sold his likeness to AI.
Yeah, he has he's suffering from aphasia. So that's one of the weird cases of, not really weird, but it's one of the cases where it's kind of understandable, where he's literally cannot work anymore, but his catalog can still work for him in some way. So as long as he retains the rights and he doesn't go public domain, then I guess it's cool. It's not like somebody taking advantage of him and using AI to fake things. It's him actually allowing. I think it was only in one Korean or Japanese commercial that it's been done so far, but still, it's an interesting thing of once actors if they pass on, can they set up a contract use my likeness and then pay the royalties to my children potentially.
Well, that would be the likeness itself, if they do their contracts right, would be part of the estate. Kind of like how they have that one estate that controls James Bond.
Right, you're right. Yeah. So that could definitely, you're going to see some contracts in the future of just excuse me, of just different Hollywood stars my license, you can use my likeness to AI right after I die. I don't give a fuck. Take my golden years likeness and just use it to promote whatever product you want. I'm dead. Peace. Fuck it.
In one of those like recent Star Wars Disney Plus shows, they did end up using AI-faced Mark Hamill.
Oh yeah, I remember that because didn't he pass away like in the middle of shooting? Like, sorry, they couldn't do like reshoot
I'm pretty sure
scenes?
he's still alive.
Did
He's
he? Oh no, that was
old.
Carrie Fisher that passed away.
Carrie
You're
Fisher
right.
died,
I completely.
Carrie Fisher died in the middle of filming the second one of the new trilogy.
Okay.
Which they have a lot of shots from like, you know, just reused shots and stuff like that, and using camera work to try and hide it.
I'm sure.
And they did end up using some AI on her, I believe.
Okay. I just completely. I knew somebody had died. I just put Mark Hamill in the shoes. I don't know why.
They did it for a young princess at the end of Rogue One.
Just AI'd completely. Young Leia.
I'm pretty sure they got someone that looked somewhat like her, but they also had someone that looked somewhat like Luke Skywalker.
I was gonna say
When
that's
he
how
was
you do
young.
it. You just like you get someone that's like vaguely like there, then the AI doesn't have to work too hard to just like make the facial features like. Zoop.
Yeah.
I would assume anyway. I'm not like an AI expert, but
And it just feels like with the whole history of Star Wars, with the re-releases and the re-edits and deleting old versions and stuff like that, like this, them being at the forefront of like, not really replacing actors with AI, but like covering up actors. Because I saw pictures of the Luke Skywalker actor, and a lot of people were saying similar things where it's like, I would have just preferred to have that guy, his face up there. He looks so damn close to Luke Skywalker anyways. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to make it be the same exact face, and then you're dealing with artifacts from the AI. Like,
well, I do get that argument, but then you also have to get like any kind of fandom that like you you could think is toxic is like Star Wars is the fandom, right? It's the fandom of like where fanboys like completely rage and nerd out, like the whole Jar Jar Binks cut that was like made by fans and then eventually recognized by George. Like they're the fandom, so they were probably so scared to change anything about what like Luke Skywalker used to look like for fear of just like the movie theater bursting on fire.
having a different actor come in to play a young version of someone who aged out of the role.
But but you already like had the young version on screen. You already saw the young version. It's not like
I do not see this at all.
I don't really get it either. But like a movie executive type thing, like we got to get the same exact thing we had in the 70s. We got to bring that back to now so people can get that connection. I don't know. I can see them making the argument for it and why they want to do it. But
I just see it as more George Lucas revision bullshit. Personally,
isn't he not
my
even
read
like
on it.
on the projects anymore? I thought he sold it and is like out.
I think he retains some type of creative. Even if it isn't him, it has the character of his type of revision work and stuff like that. I remember watching that one version of the first Star Wars movie, not Revenge of the Sith.
Return of the was it Return of the Jedi?
It might be Return of the Jedi because
I'm not a Star Wars guy. I
as
don't
much of
fucking-
a like sequel ass name that is.
Right. I don't know. Is
It that could be it.
Because I know the third one was called Episode 1.
The fourth one.
The fourth one, yeah.
Because it was the first one
of the second trilogy. That was the prequel with Anakin being a kid, right?
Yeah, so they did Star Wars 1, 2, 3.
Those were the Vader trilogy, where Darth Vader's actually there.
And then they do Star Wars 1, 2, 3. But they renamed the first 1, 2, 3 to 4, 5, 6. Because they're prequels. Right.
Yeah.
And then they made 7, 8, 9. Those came after.
Right.
No revision there. But the original one, Episode 4, this wasn't the original. This was one of the changes where Han Solo is like walking around Jabba the Hutt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a cut that wasn't in the original version of Episode 4 because they didn't show Jabba the Hutt in the original version of Episode 4 because their original design for him was just going to be like a dude.
Just a big fat dude?
Just a big fat dude with like bounty hunter, like, warlord.
Makes sense.
Type.
I always kind of confused me how Jabba the Hutt was like a boss of anything. Why doesn't someone just go like roll him over?
Yeah, he's a big old slug man.
Right.
They came up with the slug man thing later in the original trilogy. And then when they started re-releasing them, because they make so many changes like so many times and try to delete, the historical versions of them, they included a CG Jabba the Hutt in Episode 4. And Han Solo, in that original cut that wasn't included in the movie, circles around this guy while talking to him. You know, steps like behind him,
Right.
like that. But since Jabba the Hutt is a big guy slug with a tail, they move him so that he like steps up. They like cut him out of the scene so he like steps up when he's stepping behind him, and the Jabba the Hutt CGI goes like because he steps on his tail.
He stepped on his tail, yeah.
And it's like Jabba Hutt's he'll kill you. He'll hire someone to kill you.
Or
You're just stepping on his
right
tail.
there,
He
yeah.
just doesn't give a shit.
That's Han Solo, baby.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So such crazy.
That's wild.
History of the handling of Star Wars.
It feels almost just like, I don't know if it's like fans that were like fans of the series that eventually grew up and got to be a part of the project. So like, finally, I could put in my 2 cents type shit. It's like, it's all the different like bits and pieces that just kind of get hacked up. It's weird. If it's all from George Lucas's brain still to this day, I guess cool. I'm not a big Star Wars guy, so I don't care. Do you.
Mm-hmm.
It's your thing. I don't make money.
Yeah. I also think like, because you were saying it's the fandom, I don't think it's even a fandom anymore. It's multiple.
How do you mean?
Because different people saw different versions of the movie.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you were going to go like the different
Different
trilogies. Like the fandom for the first trilogy, the fandom for the second trilogy.
That too. They're compounding on each other. What version of which trilogy did you see affects how you view the entire series.
Yeah, damn.
And everyone's going to have different opinions. But it seems pretty unanimous with, except for maybe the kids that were seeing the prequel trilogy when it was coming out.
Right.
Jar Jar catches a lot of flack. And
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think the guy deserved death threats. I don't think the actor deserved any of the bad shit that like was sent his way. But the character, I fucking hate Jar Jar.
I think you're supposed to. I sent you that video of, I think it was an Empleman documentary of like, what if you were supposed to hate Jar Jar, and by the third movie he turns into Vader, basically. He's Darth Jar Jar. And then you're like, I knew I always fucking hated you for a reason, you piece of shit. And then you would fucking be so into Anakin killing Jar Jar. You'd be so locked into it. You would hate Jar Jar so much. Because that was the cool thing about Darth Vader is like, he was a cool looking villain, but even by the time you see him, it was just like, they talk about the shit that he did. And it's just like, oh, he seems like a bad guy. But you never really see him do bad stuff. You don't really have a reason to hate him other than just, you know, the things that they tell you.
I mean, he gives the command
to blow up Naboo, the planet. But it's like himself, like he's not like chopping people in half. He's not choking people. Yeah, he just chokes that one guy, but he's not like mass murdering by his own hand yet. Whereas Jar Jar Binks is like actively, I guess, not even really fucking up in the battlefield, looking like a Dumbo, but still getting stuff done. And he's like giving you reasons to hate him actively that you can remember, like, and you're kind of keeping with you.
Nah, I don't think he was meant to be hated. I just think he was a
Darth Jar Jar
guy that was there to get farted in the face of by like some weird alien animal and go.
Darth Jar Jar is the truth.
For the kids.
It was for the kids, but the last movie in that Darth Jar Jar series would have been for the adults because it would have been Jar Jar on a spree.
They should still make it. He was a Sith in like one of those Lego.
I was gonna say they didn't. I think it was just like a secret character. I don't think he was actually in the story at all. I think it was just like you could unlock a skin for Jar Jar Reese, Darth Binks.
That's a good name. I like that better than Darth Jar Jar. Darth Binks.
Well, that is a good note to end on. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Cold Hard Trash, CRT episode 43. If you liked it, share it around with anybody that likes Star Wars, because I'm sure we said all of the facts about everything correctly, because we know everything about Star Wars, and we're a Star Wars podcast. We're transitioning out of our Family Guy era. We're into the Star Wars era.
Go to Jones's stream and keep on reminding him that he's going to have to eat aspic.
Don't do that.
Tell him. Remind him.
Live long and prosper.